Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. I review board games as a full-time job at this point in my life. And so I wanted to do a series that talked about games that influenced me or the games that changed my life. And today I'm going to talk about two games. I'm putting them together that changed my life when I went to college. And for a lot of people, the game that would fill this particular position is Magic the Gathering. But I just never got into Magic the Gathering. It was not necessarily a theme that interested me, but the concept of Magic the Gathering fascinated me. I would read through, I think it was Games Magazine, I can't remember, I read an article about it, and the idea that there was a collectible card game was just one that filled me with just awe. And part of that was because as a kid, I had many different hobbies, and one of my hobbies was collecting baseball cards. I loved collecting baseball cards, and it was a fun thing to collect them, to read the stats. And as the years went by, I kind of got a little jaded with collecting sports cards, and I moved into non-sports cards. I collected cards from Looney Tunes. I collected cards about just different all kinds of things, and I collected these cards, and trying to get them all was a neat concept to me, but there was no game that could be played with them. So when I heard about Magic, I thought that's a fascinating idea, but I never followed up on it. Then one day I decided to go to a baseball card show, something they used to have in the middle of malls. This is something I miss now. You would go to a mall, and where they have all the kiosks now, they would have all these little dealers there selling baseball cards, and you'd walk by, or different sports cards and things. And I walked by one and found a game called Overpower. Now, I'm a big Marvel fan. I love superheroes, and this was a collectible card game like Magic. And I thought, this is fascinating. Here I can buy these two decks, so I bought two decks. I took them back home. I read the rules for them in this tiny little book. I was like, why is this rule book so small? And I read them, and I was like, okay, I think I understand it. And so I played it with my roommate. My roommate said, it's okay. I took it across the hall in college to the rooms across from me. I played it with them. And one of the guys was very interested in the game, and he said, that seems interesting. And a couple days later, he showed up. He had his own deck. But not only did he have his own deck, he had bought some booster packs and had put a few cards in the deck to make it better. And I thought, well, all right, let's go find these. Let's go get some more packs. So back then they sold packs at Walmart, so we would go there, or we would go to Barnes & Nobles or other places to find these packs of cards. And this concept even grew farther when someone told me that there was a store in town that you could just go buy the cards you wanted for a certain amount of money. Wow. Now, we didn't have a lot of money in college. But as I kept playing Overpower with the people across the hall, more and more people started playing, and it started spreading like wildfire on campus. People were buying their own decks. We built decks. We talked about better strategy. And at the same time, I realized that I wanted to get better at the game. Where could I go? And the internet wasn't in existence at this point in time. So I started looking on the internet to find more information about this collectible card game. Now, another collectible card game that started at the same time was the Star Wars collectible card game. One of my friends was a huge Star Wars fan, and so he liked Overpower okay, but he wanted to play this Star Wars one that he found. And so this friend, whose name was Sam Healy, came and said, I got these Star Wars cards. I said, I'll get some too, and we'll try it out. And it was another completely unique experience. And I said, wow, so this collectible card game thing can go back and forth. And when I started playing collectible card games, these definitely changed my life because I stopped playing almost everything else. Board games, role-playing games, interesting, but these collectible card games, trading card games was where it was at. I spent almost all my money that I had, and it was not much at the time. Every time I got 10, 15 bucks, I'd go, ooh, we could go to the store and buy a couple packs. And I'll never forget that euphoria of opening a pack and looking for a new card. I had some in Overpower, but it got even more so in Star Wars because you were looking for those very specific characters, the bounty hunters, and Star Wars kept coming out with sets, and this concept of having so many cards and building decks and going up against other people. I organized tournaments on campus for the different games. Me and my friends would get together and we'd play this consistently. We talked about it. And so it's important to me. I mean, these two games really are important because they introduced to me the idea of collectible card games. They introduced me to the idea of a lifestyle game. I had toyed with chess as a child, but I never had a game that just consumed me, where I would go to work and I would sit there and think about the decks that I would build. I would think about the heroes. I wrote things down. The other aspect was this turned me to the internet to look about games. I'd never done that before. The internet was there, it was interesting, but what were you supposed to look up? Well, now I had a thing. I created my very first web page there. It was called Blink's Links. It was an Overpower page where you could go and you could jump to different sites on the internet. I went and hunted down every Overpower site I could find. Then I also wrote out a whole document looking at each of the different cards. And I wanted to do something with this game. I wanted to be involved. I wanted to share my information about this on the internet. So if there's one thing that was a huge step between me just playing games as a kid and to me coming to the internet community, it was definitely collectible card games. Now, as time went by, the collectible card games faded out and board games came in. There's a few other steps in between. We'll talk about those, but these are two games that had a major impact on me: Overpower and Star Wars collectible card game. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time.